happen. Officials have not yet said the exact cause. They said they are still investigating. So obviously that will be part of this investigation to see, was there something wrong was this pilot error? Could this have been mechanical? Those questions they are still trying to sift through and hopefully provide some answers. They did release the names of two of the people that were on board, a 65-year-old woman, a 25-year-old man, another 40-year-old woman who has not been identified, because they're waiting to give notice to next of kin. But just a tragic, situation. They're not telling people don't fly in these tour helicopters because they have, they're done every single day. So right. It doesn't mean that these are unsafe. It's still safe to be in these sort of aircraft. It's just a really sad, tragic situation.
And two recovering in a hospital.
Yeah.
All right, Dana Griffin breaking it down for us. Thanks so much. Coming up tonight, much more with our colleague Savannah Guthrie as she shares her ongoing heartbreak, but also her promise to return to the Today Show very soon. Stay with us.
You got Glovo. You got Glovo. You can order what you want. You can get what you need. You got Glovo. You got it all. Order Glovo and receive it in minutes.
Welcome back. Our friend and colleague Savannah Guthrie will be returning to the Today Show on April 6th. Hard to believe it's now been a little more than 2 months after her mother went missing. And in the third part of her first interview since Nancy Guthrie was taken, Savannah told our own Hoda Kotb that returning to Today is part of her purpose and that her joy will be her very own protest. As investigators continue to search for her mother, Savannah also shared with Hoda how she's been leaning on her faith.
Did you wrestle with your faith throughout this? You're resolute and strong like your mama, but did you at some point during all of this have to wrestle with it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not done. But God doesn't tell us not to wrestle with him. This isn't some cheap faith. And my mom taught me that. God only requires
Israel has hit
authentic
2 of
presence.
Iran's largest steel factories, a power plant, and civilian nuclear sites, among other infrastructure.
But
Israel
I never
claims it
doubted.
acted in coordination with the
My
US.
mom's best
The
friend told me
attack
that
contradicts
she had
POTUS's
been going
extent.
through a hard time, and she said to my mom, how have you kept your faith all these years? Why?
Make it a habit. 7 minutes of Tai Chi every morning, all the way for 1 month.
Iran that this military operation is 2 weeks ahead of schedule. He said Iran is not the bully in that region any longer. He described them as being on the run, but I'm not sure we really learned a great deal more about the off-ramp that Donald Trump is clearly looking for in this conflict. He did, though, take the opportunity at this conference. This conference is called the FII. It's hosted by Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund. He took the opportunity in front of this audience to thank his allies in the Middle East. He named the United Arab Emirates. He named the Saudis, calling them powerful. He then waxed lyrical about Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi crown prince. He said, "You have more titles than everyone else on earth, and you deserve that because you're a winner." And he said that the future of that region has never looked brighter. This conference, though, taking place against the backdrop of MBS, apparently telling Donald Trump that he wants him to continue in this war until it is absolutely finished. The Saudi crown prince perhaps sniffing an opportunity to reshape the region and put the Saudis at the very forefront of it in the future. He also rather bizarrely played a clip. Donald Trump played a clip from CNN, which showed a poll indicating that the MAGA base of the Republican Party supports him 100% on this conflict. I do think, though, that there are certain areas that they wouldn't support him. I've been speaking to hardcore members of the MAGA base, and they say that if there are boots on the ground, US boots on the ground in Iran, they would no longer support this war. Certainly, though, Donald Trump's Foreign Secretary Marco Rubio says there are no plans for US troops on the ground in Iran. There was, as ever, a couple of moments of comic relief, if you like, in that speech from the president. He accidentally called the Strait of Hormuz the Strait of Trump to laughs from the audience. He then said, "There's no mistakes from me, although the fake news would have it otherwise."
Martha Kellner there reporting from Miami. Now, Israel says it has begun a wave of strikes targeting the militant group Hezbollah in the Lebanese capital Beirut. Thousands of Israeli troops have moved across the border into Lebanon since the start of the war. Our data and forensics team has geolocated IDF soldier activity close to the Litani River. Meanwhile, Hezbollah claims Israeli soldiers have been conducting operations at a number of locations across the south. Israel says it plans to control a zone in southern Lebanon with the Litani as a northern security line. Our special correspondent Alex Crawford reports from Tyre in southern Lebanon.
This is all that's left of Mervat's kitchen. It's a scene of utter devastation.
Oh, wow, my goodness. The whole thing's fallen down. Oh, oof, look at this.
Israeli bombs are tearing through Lebanese homes on a daily basis. And Mervat and her neighbors know Israeli troops are just behind. But those in the city trying to clear the rubble and debris out of their broken homes either can't or won't go.
Oh my goodness.
Mervat usually shares the bedroom with her sister. They fled after getting an Israeli warning of the attack, but have now returned with nowhere else to go.
Oh my goodness, that is quite a scene.
Like so many here, she believes Hezbollah are the only ones standing between them and the Israeli troops. Without them, she says, we'd all have been killed already, and Israel would have already taken Lebanon. It's a view that's strongly embedded here, where Hezbollah has deep roots. Many remember the last Israeli invasion, which saw Israeli troops occupy Lebanese land for nearly 2 decades, and which birthed Hezbollah as an armed resistance group. But the refusal to leave the area demanded by Israel comes at a terrible cost. Another Israeli strike, this time in Saksakia, north of Tyre, flattens another home. 6 people were killed, 3 of them children. Among them a 3-month-old baby carried out of the rubble by his distraught father. Israeli troops are inside South Lebanon and keen to show it. The army chief was filmed visiting his troops in an undeclared location in the south. He seemed to be preparing them for an indefinite stay, telling the soldiers they'd remain for as long as necessary to ensure Israeli border towns are safe. In other images supplied by the Israeli army, soldiers are seen moving through a building, taking up firing positions and poring over Hezbollah ammunitions they say they've recovered. They're also filmed going through tunnels, which they claim are freshly built, although we've been unable to independently verify this. The propaganda war is as intense as the battlefield fighting. Hezbollah pushed out a video claiming to show their drones destroying Israeli armoured vehicles, positioned in a devastated Lebanese border village. Another video shows Hezbollah fighters in action. They're seen preparing and then firing volleys of rockets into northern Israel and targeting the troops massing on the border. The hospitals in southern Lebanon are under immense strain, but Israeli military warnings to leave are being resisted by tens of thousands of residents and the medical staff.
For me, I am staying here until my last breath. This is my land, this is my work, this is my job, to help people and to keep them safe, and I will stay till my last breath. We are not moving.
This is what's happening all over the south of Lebanon. Homes smashed in an instant. They were given just 2 hours to leave the area, and you can see lots of even little boys going up the stairs there to try and retrieve some of their belongings. Everything gone in an instant. But Mervat and her sister Nadia have no choice but to remain in their bombed-out home. No, I'm not leaving, Nadia says. Where can I go? I have nowhere and I don't have money. And most of her family, she says, are already displaced. Mervat is at a loss about where to start with this mess, but she insists she will rebuild. This is her family home and she's not ready to give it up. Alex Crawford, Sky News, Tyre.
Well, here in the UK, the Prime Minister has told Sky News that mounting criticism from Donald Trump will not make him change his mind on staying out of the Iran war. Sir Keir Starmer was speaking to our political editor Beth Rigby for the Electoral Dysfunction podcast.
So I'm going to ask you about President Trump, because you've invested a lot in that relationship. But in recent weeks, he's insulted you, he's demeaned you, he's poked fun at you. You are the Prime Minister of Great Britain. And for many people in the UK, many people listening to this podcast or watching it, insulting you is like insulting our country. Do you understand why some people feel like that?
There's undoubtedly been, some hard decisions over the last few weeks. I have been clear I'm not going to join the war. There's a clear difference, therefore, of opinion between me and President Trump. My own view is that a lot of what is said and done has been to put pressure on me to change my mind. But I'm not going to do so because I'm the British Prime Minister and I have to act in the British national interest, and I will always act in the British national interest.
Do you think he underestimated you because you'd worked really hard at the relationship? I had followed you around. I remember being in the White House and you came out and you were pleased because he'd backed NATO and Article 5. He'd signalled he was going to do a good deal for trade. You were really personally proud that you felt like you had found this connection. You tried to accommodate him. Do you think he took that as weakness from you?
Well, I wanted a good relationship. I'm not going to pretend otherwise.
Yeah.
I still want a good relationship. As we work our way through this, I'm sure that is possible. But I want to be equally clear. I'm not going to waver on this. I'm not going to back down.
You're only human. I mean, it must make you bristle. It would make me bristle if someone spoke about me like that.
I think I understand what's happening. It's to put pressure on me.
Yeah.
In different ways. But that pressure isn't going to make me waver. It's not going to make me abandon my principles or values. And that's just the way I am. That isn't new. That isn't because of President Trump. I've got core values and principles I've held all my life. And they're irreducible.
And also,
hey, can you just write up that vendor invoice process up real quick? Now? 5 p.m. on a Friday? I still have reconciliations to finish. Wait, I'll use Scribe. What's that? All done. Just sent you the guide. Wait, that fast? Yep, I clicked the start capture, did the process like normal, and Scribe built a full walkthrough with screenshots, steps, everything. And I even redacted the client's name and GL code so that we can share this with anyone and not worry. Okay, that is actually incredible. It looks so good and so easy to follow. What did you say it was called? Scribe. It turns any process into a step-by-step guide in seconds. Try it today at scribehow.com.
Test, but refused a urine test.
At the Martin County Jail, and even on scene, we really weren't suspicious of alcohol being involved in this case, and that proved to be true at the jail. So Mr. Woods did a breathalyzer test, blew 000s, but when it came time for us to ask for a urinalysis test, he refused, and so he's been charged with DUI, with property damage, and refusal to submit to a lawful test.
Well, Mr. Trump, President Trump was asked for his reaction as news of the crash emerged.
I feel so badly. He's got some difficulty. There was an accident, and that's all I know. Very close friend of mine. He's an amazing person, amazing man, but some difficulty.
And our correspondent Barnaby Papadopoulos has this update for us.
Tiger Woods is no stranger to controversy. In 2017, he was charged with driving under the influence, and in 2026, he's been charged with exactly the same thing. The incident occurred shortly after 2 p.m. on Friday. That's 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And in a press conference, the sheriff described exactly what happened. He said that Tiger Woods had been driving a black Land Rover at high speeds when he clipped the back of a truck that was turning into a driveway. That caused his car to roll. Now, nobody was injured in the crash, but Tiger Woods was found lethargic at the scene. That's what the sheriff described. He was found crawling out of the passenger door of his car, and he was arrested and taken to Mark County Jail. He has been charged with driving under the influence, with property damage, and with refusing to take a lawful test. That is in relation to his refusing to take a urine test when he was asked to take one. It's not clear exactly what influence he was under, if indeed he was, when that crash took place. Now, Tiger Woods is no stranger to controversy with the law. As I said, he was arrested and charged with a similar offence in 2017. At the time, he pleaded guilty and he was sentenced to 1 year's probation. He was also involved in a crash in 2009 when the SUV he was driving crashed outside his house in Florida. And in 2021, he was taken to hospital and suffered injuries to his leg after being involved in another crash. That time, the car he was driving was thought to be travelling at almost twice the speed limit when it hit a tree. He is, however, one of the most influential, perhaps the most famous golfer who has ever lived. He has won 15 majors in his career. The first of those in 1997 was a Masters. He won a Masters again in 2019, and then he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Donald Trump. Tiger Woods still plays golf on occasion. He last played on Tuesday, and just hours before this crash occurred, it had been reported that he was going to play in the US Senior Open in July. Whether that still happens now remains to be seen, as he has been charged with those 3 offences following the crash in Florida on Friday.
Barnaby Papadopoulos with that update. Now, fuel retailers say the UK's supply of petrol and diesel is stable. It comes as the boss of Asda, the UK's second largest fuel retailer, warned of temporary shortages due to increased demand because of the Middle East conflict. While for just the first time in 2 years, the average petrol price in the UK is now above 150p a litre. A joint statement's been put out from both the Petrol Retailers Association and Fuels Industry UK to reassure customers, saying, "We're aware of reports circulating about fuel availability at a small number of forecourts for one retailer. Supply across the UK is flowing normally, and there is no need for any change in usual buying habits." Our business and economics correspondent Paul Kelso has this analysis.
A joint statement, no less, from two bodies representing petrol retailers, telling us there's nothing to see here. Which begs the question, why are we talking about it? Well, we're talking about it because the executive chairman of Britain's second largest petrol retailer, that's Alan Leighton of Asda, said today, while talking to reporters, that his forecourts had experienced some, quote, temporary shortages. Now, they are dangerous words when it comes to fuel, particularly when we clearly have an energy crisis brewing in the Gulf. We do not have petrol shortages, at least we didn't think we did, across the UK. Petrol prices have risen very sharply. But Mr. Leighton, just give you a sense of the context for those words. He said our fuel volumes are up quite significantly and clearly demand has been outstripping supply. Translated, more people have been trying to buy it than we can supply. Supply is tight. We're all trying very hard on that. The issue is temporary. And some could see issues when we're waiting for delivery, and we expect to see that continue. The spikiness at the moment makes this tricky, as spikes can lead to temporary shortages. Now, these words coming from a man who runs the second biggest petrol retailer were obviously picked up. That prompted the Petrol Retailers Association to try and calm any sense that there is a shortage beyond a few pumps at a few Asda petrol stations for a few hours. Asda, in fact, a spokesman from their press office, delighted, no doubt, at what he heard from his chairman, has issued a statement in which he said, whilst we've seen increased demand, we've been clear supply issues have been limited to a small number of pumps at a small number of sites, and they're refilled within the day. There is clearly a great deal of focus on fuel. People are concerned. Petrol prices have passed out £1.50 for a litre for the first time since 2024. Today, diesel's up, knocking 40p on where it was before the war began. That makes people really price sensitive. It makes them very keen to fill up as quickly as they can. And we have recent experience of how anxiety about fuel can lead to genuine shortages caused simply by demand. 2021, after the lockdown period, there was something of a difficulty in getting trained tanker drivers to deliver fuel. That turned into an entirely consumer-driven shortage because so many people were queuing. Petrol stations were running dry. There was more than enough fuel in the country for everybody. It just wasn't getting to where people required it when everybody decided they wanted it at once. And that's why the retailers are speaking out today and trying to calm this. But this is being watched, make no mistake, all the way up to Downing Street, because there is a challenge around energy. There is a challenge around fuel. It is largely at the moment about price. They're desperate to prevent comments like this, which are doubtless honest from Alan Leighton, turning into a genuine supply problem. At the moment, there is no petrol shortage in Britain.
Good news from Paul Kelso there. Well, time now for a look at some of the day's other top stories. And police have spoken to a man in relation to the abuse by former Harrods boss Mohammed Al-Fayed. The Metropolitan Police says the man in his 60s was questioned on suspicion of offences, including aiding and abetting rape and sexual assault, as well as human trafficking for sexual exploitation. Earlier this month, the Met said it had interviewed 3 women aged in their 40s, 50s and 60s over suspicion of enabling Al-Fayed's abuse. A benefits cheat who defrauded more than £23,000 by claiming she was housebound due to anxiety has been caught surfing and ziplining in Mexico. 33-year-old Catherine Wyland from West Sussex pleaded guilty to failing to notify a change of circumstances. She's been handed a 28-week suspended sentence and must repay the tens of thousands claimed in personal independence payments over more than 2 years. And a whale stranded for days in shallow water at a Baltic Sea resort in Germany has finally swum free. Rescuers had brought in excavators to dig a trench in front of the whale's head, while marine biologists attempted to lead the mammal out. Despite the hopeful news, the humpback isn't out of troubled waters just yet and will only be safe once it reaches the Atlantic Ocean. Well, coming up next here on Sky News, an Afghan asylum seeker is jailed for abducting and raping a 12-year-old girl.
GoDaddy has the perfect hosting plan for any website. From low-cost shared hosting to your own virtual server. Every plan comes with a 99.9% uptime guarantee, along with a free domain name and award-winning support. No wonder we're the world's #1 web host. Unlock your online potential today with GoDaddy.
Welcome back. Now, an Afghan asylum seeker has been jailed for raping and abducting a 12-year-old girl in Nuneaton in an attack which provoked protests in the town. 23-year-old Ahmad Mulakil had only been in the country for 4 months when he set upon the girl last July. His victim said he laughed while he attacked her. Sky's Shaman Freeman Powell was in court.
This is what needs to happen in the country. The illegal invasion of... what needs to happen... What needs to happen is the illegal invasion needs to be stopped.
A conclusion to a case that sparked protests.
You can see it in a minute. Okay, can I see it now? I can't, it's in the vehicle, but it's shut in my
criticism of police and a national conversation about immigration. Scenes that echo tensions that have been simmering here since last summer. This is the moment Nuneaton went viral. In the middle of the street, a British businessman was racially abused and falsely accused of being a rapist.
That's the issue we have in our country. You got to use raping our kids. Save our kids!
It captured just how charged and how toxic the atmosphere had become. All caught on camera because I was here filming a documentary about tensions in the town. 6 months later, I'm back. And I want to find out how people are feeling now. It was this protest that captured my attention.
Please.
And it was the arrest of this man that sparked it all.
What's your name? Ahmad. Okay. Ahmad, can you sit up for me?
Ahmad Mulakil was convicted for raping and sexually assaulting a 12-year-old girl he met at a park. During his trial, we learned that Mulakil had arrived in this country via a small boat just 4 months before the assault. A fact not lost on the handful of protesters who travelled to court for his sentencing. But how do people who live here feel? Is the town still divided on asylum seekers?
I don't think there is any tension at the minute. I don't sense it if there is.
I think immigration is a big issue, and we've got like our
people that served in the war that are literally on the streets, and the government aren't helping them, and we've got so much homeless within our town, and I feel like they're prioritising immigrants over us.
What people should be concentrating on is that the fact that the cost of living is increasing, their wages are going down, and all this sort of thing. It's easy to find a scapegoat. It's the oldest trick of the book. Find somebody who's worse off than you, and preferably foreign.
Those protesting outside court say people like Ahmed Mulukul should never have been allowed on British shores. Others say the conversation around violence against women and girls is being hijacked and weaponised by the far right. Everyone has an opinion and every political party has weighed in, but no one seems any closer to a working solution. Shimon Freeman-Powell, Sky News, Warwickshire.
Well, time now for a quick look at the weather forecast.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors Sky News Weather.
Well, the weekend will be chilly and unsettled, but conditions do look milder and less changeable next week as pressure builds in the southwest. It's a cold start to the day with a frost in rural areas, blustery showers in the north and west, maybe heavy at times and turn wintry over the higher ground. A more organised band of showers will spread south across Scotland, potentially leaving a covering of snow on the peaks there. England and Wales will start the day mostly dry, however showers will become more widespread.
All Clear Travel Insurance proudly sponsors Sky News Weather.
Well, coming up next here on Sky News, we'll take another look at this morning's papers in the wrap.
I don't have enough for my mobile money, but let me see if I can transfer from my bank.
No, we can do both.
Really?
Yes. With this PesaPal POS terminal, you can pay with MTN Momo, Airtel Money, or your card.
I have been struggling.
Vamukutawana. Accept both mobile money and card payments through the PesaPal point-of-sale terminal. Enjoy fast settlement to any bank. Join thousands of businesses who trust PesaPal to manage their payments. Call 0326 100 650 or visit www.pesapal.com to get started.
Welcome back to Sky News. Well, let's get more now on the war in Iran. And Israel's defense minister has warned that his country will expand and escalate its attacks on Iran. Israel Katz said Iran would pay the price for targeting Israeli civilians.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and I have warned the Iranian terrorist regime to stop firing missiles at the civilian population in Israel. Despite the warnings, the firing continues, and therefore IDF attacks in Iran will escalate and expand to additional targets and areas that assist the regime in building and operating weapons against Israeli citizens. They will pay heavy, increasing prices for this war crime.
Israel Katz, the Israeli defense minister, speaking there. Well, our international correspondent John Sparks is in Jerusalem and sent us this report.
The mood is different here. They're just not looking at that sort of position, that sort of posture at all, not countenancing some sort of peace process or peace negotiation here at all. Let me give you an example of that. Residents in different Iranian cities being quoted, being reportedly saying that they have experienced some of the worst bombing since the war began, that over the last 24 hours. And that's basically being confirmed by an Israeli military spokesperson today.